before we get to that, did want to talk about the latest screenshots that have come out. I've kind of been posting them in batches. Once I get about 3 or 4 coming in off the social media, I collect them and do a bulletin about them on the front page. People have been posting them one by one in the forum, which is great. Screenshots are looking pretty good. That Lonzo Ball and Markel Fultz picture, they look pretty spot on, especially Ball.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think given seeing some of the more recent screenshots and given that Stone was starting to show a lot more of the actual full body models and all that stuff, you can see a real change in compared to previous, compared to 2K17 and that. So it's actually good to see an actual a good visual improvement with 2K and that. I think in a lot of ways it's the players have, and even like the faces and that, have looked kind of similar, except for the element where I stated last week in terms that I kind of preferred some of the skin tone and lighting element in 2K14 as opposed to 17, and even from the early couple looks from the earlier screenshots of 2K18 and that.
Some of the comments have been that the lighting has looked a bit better in some of the recent screens, and I do think the recent screens have looked pretty good across the board. Certainly a lot of faces are looking on point, and Operation Sports doing a great job actually of getting some comparison screenshots going. And the one they posted, I haven't, as of this podcast, I haven't actually posted a bulletin with the Gordon Hayward screenshot, but they released a Gordon Hayward screenshot 2K, and an OS did a comparison with the 2K17, and it is night and day. Like his 2K17 face looks like absolute rubbish compared to the new one. To be totally frank, like they have improved that. It's possible I didn't scan his face last year because it's really on point this year, and last year it almost looked like a generically sculpted one, when you can't scan your face and you just use the default sculpting tools. It was really kind of, it's him, but like this year it's really him, and you can say that of a lot of players, and the comparisons that OS has been putting together really highlight that for a lot of players, especially the Hayward one, and that has actually
the Dwight Howard one as well had a lot of
like that absolutely. And I think there has been an issue, especially with some of the lighter hair colors as well, your blondes and your sort of light browns with the hairstyle, where there's been that weird lighting effect on them, and you can see that in the OS comparison, the 2K17 shot, and their hair looks a lot better. And usually I'm not one to really pick on that, but of course, being a pasty white man myself, I do have the lighter hair color when I make my player, and it has always kind of looked a little bit weird. So I'm glad to see that, and I do hope we do get some new hairstyles for my players as well, into some different styles and colors and whatnot. So yeah, again, it's great to see, and the body models, kind of the biceps looking a bit more muscular and adult rather than those really skinny high school body models, as you said, and a lot of people have pointed that out, of course. And even the shooting forms, like Lonzo's interesting shooting form is obviously captured, as you can see in that screenshot, and Fultz as well. So obviously, 2K has gone above and beyond in so many ways, even with some of the historical players, of course, with the signature animations for dribbling and shooting and whatnot. So they're obviously getting the rookies' animations and faces into the game quick smart with all these scans. Of course, the other week they had the scanning the session with the photo, the promotional shoot and everything. So yeah, all the screenshots are looking pretty good.
Yeah, biggest visual upgrade for me in a little while in terms of things. In terms of like the body models and player models and faces. So there's 2 faces that I kind of really want to see. One is DeMarcus Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one again, damn it happened again where I just forget.
I want DeMarcus Cousins to record some more audio for the game. That's some more voiceover talents there. That was just incredible.
Damn it, who was the other one? This doesn't. Going blank again. But I suppose DeMarcus Cousins.
Anything for team that he might have?
No, it just
gone. Oh.
Yeah, there was 2 that I had, and Cousins, and who's another player that I've had? I suppose Dirk. I think Dirk. Yeah, it was Dirk.
Yeah, which ties into what I was saying about some of the
hair and
the hair and
yeah,
such for lighter skinned players. Yeah, it's sort of and those lighter colored hair styles were a bit off with the lighting, sort of like this weird reflective kind of effect.
yeah, and yeah. So they're the two key ones, uh, and I suppose like some of the like former players, especially in the classic teams and all that stuff. I want to sort of see if they've been redone as well.
Yeah,
I'd really like to see a couple of improvements to a couple of them, just to sort of see. Yeah, so I think that would be a big one for me to sort of see what they do with those players as well. But yeah, for me, DeMarcus Cousins hasn't quite looked right for the last. I think again he was one of the ones that kind of looked better in 2K14 as opposed to compared to more recent years than that from memory. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons. And yeah, like we stated with a Dirk tear and even element of the face, like 2K17 was better than 2K16 in regards to Dirk, but I still think there's a lot more improvement in terms of where they could go with him to reflect.
Agreed, absolutely. We've also got some new ratings, of course, with these screenshots. They're coming through with the ratings on these first look screens. Kevin Durant, 96 overall, so makes you wonder what LeBron's going to be.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he was around the 95, 96 as well.
Steph Curry, 94, not too surprising either. The first and second overall picks, of course, Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball, both 80 overall. And in fact, they're the highest rated rookies in the default rosters, at least, since John Wall in 2K11, 81.
Wow. I still think potentially. I think with Lonzo, like, I think his defense is one of the bigger weaknesses. Yes, okay, he's got some potentially good court vision. His shooting might also be an element of
wait and see kind of thing with
yeah. When going up against proper NBA players and
defense,
that yeah. So I think that'll be a big question mark. So I think he was probably realistically more at 76, given with those two concerns with the defense and the shot. Marcus Fultz, I mean, I'm not too familiar with him, like with a lot of the players that were in this draft. Obviously, there was a lot of hype with Lonzo because he's big mouth dad and that. So.
But Fultz, there was whole hype around Fultz being the number one pick, especially.
Yeah. I knew he has. Trade, yeah. I knew he was a big prospect, but I mean, I didn't get to see a lot of him in terms of playing, so he didn't quite get that media coverage circus element that the Ball family did. And that, so yeah, it was harder for me to sort of gauge and sort of determine what his strengths and weaknesses are, and that. Whereas seen a little bit more of the Ball family and that sort of thing, so I was able to get a bit more better feedback.
Rookies are hard, having done the rosters for years. There's a lot of guesswork, and you either end up going too high or too low. I remember they mentioned that LeBron was a 78 overall in 2K4. In NBA Live 2004, LeBron was a 69 overall. That was the year that, do you remember that Live 2004 went from 50 to 99 ratings to 0 to 99? The scale. Yeah. So a lot of overall ratings were pretty low. I think Reggie Miller was a 61 overall in the default rosters of that game.
Wow.
And he was still pretty, come 2004, like his last couple of years in the league, Reggie was still pretty good. He was still
Reggie.
Yeah, but the overall ratings weren't the way they were calculated in 2004. That they were a little bit weird. So you do account for that to some extent. But overall ratings are kind of ironically overrated as such. I mean, they do have their importance as far as determining player value, which just comes into play when you're talking about the player value for the franchise modes and trading players and determining value, of course. But and that's the default rosters. I mean, obviously, roster updates plus roster editing in 2K is going to help us adjust any ratings itself. So, I guess I'm not too worried. I guess for comparison, though, D'Angelo Russell rated 80 overall. So, if we go by 2K, the Lakers got rid of an 80 overall to bring in an 80 overall. So, fair trade for trading him out of town, I suppose. We also saw John Wall, the aforementioned John Wall, 81 in 2K11, of course, 90 overall, and he's become one of the best point guards in the league as well. So I think that's pretty on point for John Wall.
Yeah, I think a lot in regards to that is his athleticism. I think Mario, from memory, brought up, well, why did Isaiah Thomas get a lower rating than him? Even though, sort of statistically wise, you know, uh, Isaiah Thomas did
He's an
outperform.
89,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
But
mean, yeah.
I think it was that element of athleticism and stuff that that John Wall has over Isaiah Thomas in terms of like jumping ability and potentially even quickness as well. So
It's all the Steve Nash conundrum back in the day when Steve Nash would always be rated a little bit low because he didn't have the defensive ratings or the athletic ratings that other players did, and the dunking
yeah,
rating was obviously not there, so it didn't boost things artificially. Then on the other end of the scale, you got a Josh Smith, for example, that is always looked little bit overrated because of his athletic abilities in the game. So yeah, I think that's why John Wall has been pushed the 1 point higher, but sort of as far as being in the top class of point guards and top 10 point guards in the league, I think that's pretty fair. And Gordon Hayward, of course, who we talked about before, with the much improved face when you look at the preview that OS put together, as I said. 88, which is pretty good because he's become quite a decent player, quite a good player, an all-star last season. We'll see how he goes in Boston, of course. But again, with his multi-faceted game, multi-talented player right there, yeah, I think that's pretty average, pretty on point, I should say.
yeah, yeah.